Hey everybody, welcome to Lex's Lounge. How about that logo? You guys like it? That's gonna be the new logo for the show for the foreseeable future. Just had a buddy of mine make that for me. So what did I want to do today? I wanted to do a story time about my first arrest. Now usually when people make a story like that, they're referring to the first time that they've been arrested. But in my case, it's the story of the first time that I made an arrest, which is kind of different. But basically the way that it happened was I was once working loss prevention at a major department store called the Hudson's Bay. Basically, it's a store we have up here in Canada that we've had for hundreds of years. It's a pretty typical department store. It caters to little old ladies largely. And I was the loss prevention guy, which meant that I had to walk around in my plain clothes and I had to arrest anybody who was shoplifting, anybody who was trespassing, committing some kind of fraud. There were all kinds of interesting things at that store. But this is the story of the very first time that I ever caught somebody. I was 18, just barely turned 18. And I was walking around probably on my third or fourth shift doing this work. And I was like, man, I haven't caught anybody, when suddenly I spot this young, muscular, shaved head guy with a backpack in the underwear section. Well, you know, that's not the typical kind of shopper that goes to the Bay, so I decide I'm gonna watch him. And he's standing there and he's looking at a couple of pairs of Tommy Hilfiger underwear. They're about 20 bucks a piece. And suddenly he kind of looks around briefly, doesn't see me looking at him, and drops the two pairs of underwear into his backpack. Now, the first time that you actually catch somebody shoplifting, you freak out a little bit because you're like, oh my God, I actually got one. And silently in my head, that was sort of the same reaction that I had. But beyond that, I just kind of tried to stay cool and follow this guy. It's very important that you let a shoplifter leave the store before you arrest him. And then I had another concern, which is that this guy was jacked, like really jacked, and he was in his late 20s. He was bigger than me, and I thought, man, this is not gonna go over well if I have to arrest him alone. So, fortunately, on the little radio I had a channel that linked me to a different loss prevention guy in the same mall who worked in a store called Zeller's. So, his name was Andrew. He later became a cop. And I said, Andrew, I need your help. There's a guy I'm following. He just exited the Bay into the mall, and I need to arrest him. So, Andrew shows up. We walk up behind the guy. We grab him by the arm, we say, hey, we're security, you're under arrest. And then he actually didn't put up much of a fight or much of an argument, and his backpack was still open, so I reached into it and I was like, this is what I'm arresting you for these two pairs of Tommy Hilfiger underwear that you took. And we bring this guy back, and this is where there was a twist. This guy has a military ID, and it's not even the Canadian military, it's the British military. Turns out this guy is in town at the Canadian Forces base, basically getting some kind of training, but he's a member of the British military. He's not a citizen. He's leaving the country again in just a couple of days. So when I call the cop to, you know, put the charges on the guy, which is what's typically done, the cop goes, there's nothing really I can do with this guy. I mean, I could charge him and then he doesn't show up to court, and then he has a warrant out for his arrest, and then he can't come back to Canada. But that's all kind of a big waste of time. So basically, he cut this guy loose. However, he did take my report, and he said he was going to do something about it, and I didn't know what it was going to be. So a few days later, I get a call, and there's some guy on the other line, and he identifies himself as a major in the British military. And I go, okay, hi, what can I do for you? And he says, I understand that you've arrested one of my men several days back. Is that accurate? And I say, yeah, it is accurate. And the guy goes, well, you know, we did send him over to Edmonton to do something other than shoplift. He's supposed to be getting trained. So, you know, that the cop that you phoned contacted me and let me know that this happened, and we're awfully embarrassed about it. So if you could just take the time to copy your report and send it my way, we'll just deal with him through military court on our end. So I think that guy did actually end up getting a lot more than what he bargained for. So there you go, guys. That's the story of my first arrest. If you like this story time thing, I'll tell you some others, because I made about 200 plus arrests when I worked at that job, and some of them were a lot of fun, but that was the very first one. On that note, guys, I'll let you go. Have a good one. Subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you all next time on Lex's Lounge.